New polls out today, and a new warning effectively from a key pollster for Kamala Harris and her team. Take a look at Nate Silver's data here. I want you to see this because this is really, really remarkable. Okay, so Nate is super smart, and Nate has a really, really good set of data that he looks at. One of the reasons I like Nate's stuff is because he puts a lot, not just the polls in there, but he'll put some economic statistics and stuff. It's almost more like a financial model than what you typically see from, say, Real Clear Politics, etc., which have a more narrow spread. But you look at this 53.4% to 46.2%. This is a warning for Kamala Harris. Granted, anything can happen, and it is still relatively tight, but he's ahead, and he crossed ahead of her sometime around October 13th, October 14th. The last time we really saw him this much ahead, it was actually prior to the debate, or you could go back, way back, right? Back to the days when Biden was still running. And it was in part because of Nate's data that the Democrats were like, oh my gosh, we can't run him. We can't run him. Look at what's happening. He's imploding. In Nate Silver's forecast. So Nate used to run 538. ABC News runs that. So they have a slightly different view of things, but I think this is important to look at. I take it pretty seriously. Let's go a little bit deeper. So looking here at what Nate is putting forward, let me just fix the shot a little bit so you can see this better. You've got Harris, again, at 46.2%, Trump at 53.4%. I should point out, this is the Electoral College probability. The expectation is, yes, that Harris is going to win the popular vote. 74.6% chance of winning the popular vote versus Trump at 25.4%. But that's not how the system works, right? Because otherwise New York and California would dictate everything. So that's not how the system works. The Electoral College is ultimately what matters. And so it's that path to 270. And you can see that the chances of getting to 270 are remarkably, well, not remarkably, but considerably, I should say, higher right now for Donald Trump. Of course, when you look at some of the poly market data and some of the betting market data, and not just poly market, by the way, there are other prediction data points out there that I was looking at earlier this morning before coming on. And what I'm seeing again is that 60-40 scenario. It's a little more favorable to him, around 65% at poly market. But in other prediction markets, you are seeing that he's consistently significantly ahead of her, and more ahead than, say, in Nate Silver's prediction model. And part of the reason for that is, well, people are putting money down, right? So they have money that they're putting to work, and it takes out some of the flaws that you might get in typical polling data. I mean, prediction markets have only been wrong twice since 1866. So those are really worth looking at too. I think bottom line is that she's going to have a really uphill battle between now and Tuesday. And then it's going to come down to who goes out and votes, who has already voted. We spoke with David Bossie on the campaign bus in Pennsylvania, and he was quite pleased because they had whittled down the gap that existed between Democrats and Republicans so significantly in the state of Pennsylvania by getting people out and registered early and voting early. We saw the same kind of thing going on in Virginia. I've looked at those numbers. It's incredible how much the Republicans have been able to pull ahead, and that matters. Now, they're not ahead in the early ballots. Democrats still have that game pretty much locked down, but it's significant that they're able to make this kind of an improvement, and I think quite telling, especially in light of the fact that Donald Trump underperforms in polls. For whatever reason, I think we know why, people are terrified to say, yeah, I'm going to vote for Trump. And they're even more terrified, I think, when it's on a recorded line. Think about it. All these pollsters that are calling up and saying, well, I'm on a recorded line because we want to make sure that this is really, really accurate. And people are like, yeah, no, thank you. My vote is kind of a private thing. So a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I still come back to it's the economy, stupid. I still come back to the fact that you've got all this inflation. I was looking at some of the inflation in the swing states where it really matters, and you're looking at roughly around 20% inflation. Trust me, wages have not gone up 20% in that same amount of time. So people are having to do with a whole lot less, and they're angry and they're frustrated, and I think they're going to take it out on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden at the ballot booth, right? At the ballot box. That's where you're going to see it all come to light.